Let's make something similar inside of Unreal Engine 5, shall we? Hi and welcome to today's tutorial. This is part 2 of the Soulslike style tutorial series. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, where we make the kill barrier, death screen, and scaling falling damage, then you should probably watch that tutorial first. I will link a playlist in the description with all of the videos in order. But in this tutorial, we will be making a sprint input, a Souls-like sprint input that only activates after 1 second of holding, or something like that, adjustable. Allow jumping only while sprinting. Perform a forward roll after landing from a jump. And optionally, maybe also with a fall velocity, if the player did not jump, as sort of like the character breaking their fall with a roll on a too big of a fall. Just an idea. Or we could do that as well. Or do a plunging attack if the player is falling with a minimum velocity and holding R1 at the same time, so the player can't abuse this by just jumping and holding R1 over and over again, or jumping off a small platform or something like that. This will tie into our other Souls-like tutorial, and I'll be making a small series about it. So once again, I'll link the ordered playlist in the description. Subscribe if you want to follow along. I will be trying to cover some of the stuff I haven't seen on YouTube yet myself. There's one more thing I want to get out of the way real quick before we start. This series does not strive to be a full-on complete Souls-like framework or anything like that. As I just said, I will just be showing how to do some stuff that I thought of while playing the Souls series myself and haven't seen in tutorials myself yet. So just don't expect me to do a full-on combat system, etc., as there are already many good free tutorials on YouTube showing how to do this. If this series gets a lot of love, I might consider making a full course on this channel for an old school Souls-like game, but for now that is not in the plans, since I am quite busy working on my solo game, and might go to school in a couple of months for an indie game developer course I'm interested in, so I will be even busier then. Anyways, with that long-winded explanation out of the way, let's finally get into it. We will be using some Mixamo animations in this tutorial and in this series, but keep in mind that these animations are not the best. Some of them are pretty good, like this sprint one is pretty good, and some of the roll ones aren't that bad. But just keep in mind that if you use your own animations, that it will probably look a lot better, or if you use paid animations. But just for ease of the tutorial, and so I can share these animations with you, we will just be using Mixamo for the tutorial. Or I will be using them. You can use your own animations if you so please. So I'll be linking to animations here in the description. I'm downloading them on my custom character and then retargeting the animation to the mannequin, which I saw caused some problems on the fingers of the character. But if I just export the Unreal 5 mannequin and upload it on here, and then export the animation, it's like completely wrong for some reason. So doing it with my custom character and then retargeting it to the mannequin made it way better, but it was still messing up the fingers. So if you have a custom character yourself already, then instead of downloading my animations, like the death animation I showed you in the last video, or I gave you in the last video, which is also from Mixamo, just come into Mixamo and upload your own custom character and download the animations that way. Then they shouldn't be bugged on the fingers, on the mannequin, etc. I think the death animation I did on the last video is the sword and shield def. If you want the same one, it's this one. This animation right here. And don't use this one unless you edit the animation. Because I quite like how this one looks actually, but if you do in place, it won't actually get rid of the root motion. So looks quite good. Could fix it. But let's just go with this running one for the tutorial. Let's just do in place. And then just do without skin, because else it will just import your character again. And then let's download it. And then let's look for roll. And then I quite like this sprinting forward roll. So let's download that one. Also without skin. And let's not do that one in place because we need root motion on that one. Then let's go over to our tutorial project and let's import them. Into the animation folder. Just to be sure, let's import only animations, then skeleton, the mannequin. Make sure you pick the right one if you have any asset packs installed. There might be a different one here. Then let's just import it. Right now that we have them imported, come over, right click, animation, and make a new blend space. Just call it something like walk run. I've already made one. And then come over to the vertical axis. Let's call this speed. Then for the minimum, keep it at 0. And then the maximum, let's set it to 600. Then let's drag in the idle and put it all the way at the bottom. For this tutorial, we'll just do like a 1 directional. If you want a 4 directional or an 8 directional, there's tutorials on that on YouTube already if you want to follow it. But for this tutorial, I'll keep it simple. Then let's do the walk forward, and let's set that to something like 300. Then the run forward, let's set that to about 450 here. Or actually, let's set that to 500. And then the running animation we just downloaded, put it at 600. Now, here we go. Your running one is not that good, but as I said before, if you make your own animations or buy better ones, it should look better. Now that we have that set up, come over to our third-person character blueprints, open up the third-person character, then come over to the viewport and select the third-person character. Then in here, let's go over to the animation blueprint that we're using, open it up. And this one is a child of the Manny, so let's open that one. Then come over to the animation graph over here to the left. And then inside of our main states, let's drag in the walk run. And then drag from entry into walk run. And then connect the land into the walk run. And then open up this. Let's copy this should move. Go back over to the main states. Open up this transition room. And connect it in here. And now let's compile that. Now it should be working. Just to make sure that our blend space is working, let's go over to the event graph. Then on event begin play, let's drag in our character movement. And then out of our character movement, let's do set max walk speed. I think 300 was our walk speed. So let's set it to 300. Nice. And our character is walking now. So that does work. So now we can go ahead and make the sprint input. So that's what we'll do next. Let's just disconnect this again. So let's come over to our third person character folder and go to the input, go into actions, and then let's make a new input action, call it IA_sprint, then open it up, and in the triggers section, let's add one, and do hold, then save it, and let's go back to the input folder, to our IMC default. Let's make a new one and choose the sprint. Let me just make sure I'm picking the right one we just made, because I have a different one in here. You should only have one. Pick left shift or something. Then let's save it again. Then come over to third person character blueprints and our BP third person character again. Then in the variables, let's make a new boolean and call it is sprinting. Then under the jump input, we'll look for our sprint. Just make sure I'm picking the right one again. Should be this one. Then open this up, and then on started, we'll do a delay for about a second. Then we'll drag in our is sprinting and hold control to set it, and let's set it to true. Then drag in our character movement component, and out of here look for max walk speed, and out of here set max walk speed. Connect this, and then connect this, and let's set it to 600. And then out of completed, we'll drag the is sprinting again and hold control and set it to false. And then drag in our character movement again and do set max walk speed and set it back to 500. And then let's connect this and compile it. And let's test it out. And it seems to be working because it is increasing the speed but not changing the animation. Because I changed the completed to 200 and it's walking. Then when I hold it again, it's increasing the speed. So I have to figure out real quick why it's not playing the sprinting animation that we put in. Hold on. So I think we need to come back to our animation blueprint. Go to the ABP Mani. And then in the event graph, on the update animation, under, let's just try get pawn owner, and then out of here do get velocity, and let's do an is valid here, and the one here at the bottom with the white question mark. Then we'll do pawn owner for the input object. Then drag out of here and do vector length. And then let's go back to our main states. Oh, and I actually think, let's see what might be wrong here. For some reason this is connected again, even though we broke the link earlier. So let's just break it again. Compile it. Let's see if this works. Now our animations are broken. So I think we still need to add in the speed over here. So open up the walk around, and then in the speed here, let's promote it to a variable. Then let's come back to our event graph. And then let's drag in our speed here and hold Alt. And do it on here to set it. And then out of our is valid, we'll set it. And then out of the set, into this get here. And then compile it. And save it. And let's test it now. There we go. And now when we sprint, it is using this sprint animation, but it is really bad, it looks like, because it is a Mixamo animation, of course. But just for an example right now, I'll just assume that you are using some paid animations or your own animations instead of the Mixamo animations. So let me just go to the animations, to the walk run. I will just get rid of this animation and just have the run forward on both. So it'll look like the same animation, but it is actually increasing the speed. And then because I set it to 200 there, that's why it's walking afterwards. Let's just set that back to 500. And now to only allow jumping when we sprint, it's very easy. We just add a branch here. And for the condition, we'll drag in is sprinting. And then if it's true, we'll jump. And if it's false, we'll do nothing. Now when we compile this and run it, when we do this and try to jump, it won't work. And when we hold the sprint and we're sprinting, now we can jump. So next, let's add in a roll when we land, and our falling damage multiplier seems way too high right now. So let's fix that. Set it to something like 1,000, because we were literally getting damage while we were landing there. Let's test that out. Now it's harder to test out because we need to be sprinting. That's still a little bit harsh, I guess, but let's just stick with that for now. Or let's just do a little bit higher. Let's do 1200. Compile. Now for the roll when we land, let's make another boolean and let's call it was jumping. And then let's make a float and call it fall break threshold. I think I typed that wrong. And change it to a float and then compile it. For the default value, let's set it to something like 1500. Then drag the was jumping here and hold control and let's set it to true. And then at the top here, let's do a branch with the was jumping, and if true, we do play anim montage, and then we need to come over to our animations folder and change the rolling animation to an animation montage. And let's go in here and make sure we enable root motion. And save it. Go back to our third person character and then do the rolling animation. Then on false, let's make another branch. And for the condition, let's copy the get velocity over here. Copy that whole node. Then move this up a little bit so we have some space. Then for this input, let's get the fall break threshold. Let's move this up a bit too. And from here into the condition. We actually don't need this. Then if the velocity is greater than the fall break threshold, we'll also play the animation montage. So go to true. And actually, before we do this, or when it is true, we should also be disabling the input. And then let's put a delay after the montage. And then let's just assume that the rolling animation takes about a second. And after it's done, let's enable input. And let's just copy these. And move this one a bit. Paste them in. And then do the same for this one. Alright, let's test it out. Alright, so it is doing it when we land while sprinting. It still did it there while we landed. Let's try to set this to something like 2000. The fall break threshold. Alright, now it's not rolling when we land from that platform, and when we jump and land, we're rolling. And once again, this rolling animation is not perfect because it's from Mixamo, and I am not certain how to retarget those animations perfectly to the mannequin. There might be some tutorials on that out there, but once again, with paid animations, this will look way better. Then for the plunging attack, we will need to add in another branch. And I think we should actually position this branch at the front. So let's connect it like this. Now to false, and to this branch. And then let's just create the Boolean variable already. Is holding R1 and change it to a Boolean. And let's go back over to Mixamo once again, and let's look for an attack. And then since we don't really want root motion for this one, I'll just pick this one for an example over here. And then we'll download it without the skin again. And what I said about the Mixamo animations, if you are using a custom character and you uploaded it there and downloaded the animations like that and are using it on that character, then they are probably fine. If they are not, then what you can do is you can come over to your character's skeletal mesh. Like I'll use this one for example. Then come over here and go show retargeting options. And then come to the pelvis and right click it and go recursively set translation retargeting skeleton. And that has fixed animations for me before, or animation issues. So if you're still having issues with the animations, even though you're using a custom character, then try that and that might fix it. Anyways, let me import the animation we just downloaded. And just do the mannequin. And then let's right click it and create an animation montage. Then let's go to input actions and let's make a new one. Go to input action. Let's just call it IA underscore light attack. For now, or in this series, we probably won't be adding a combat system because there's already guides on that. You could just use one of those, but we'll just be using this real quick for the plunging attack. So then just go back to input, IMC default. Let's make a new mapping. Make it our light attack. Then we'll just do left mouse button. Save it. Go to our third person character. And then over here, we'll just do the light attack. Open this up. Then on started, we'll just do is holding R1 and set it to true. And then on completed, is holding R1 to false. Then here, drag in the is holding on the condition. And then if true, we'll do play anim montage. And then we'll do the Sword and shield attack montage. And then I know we didn't actually make it R1. And our character was always rolling because we never set the whilst jumping back to false. My fault on that. So back here, let's do whilst jumping and set it to false. And compile this. And now when we jump, it should roll. And if we jump out, if we fall off without jumping, it shouldn't roll. If we jump, hold R1, it'll do a plunging attack. It's not actually a plunging attack yet, but this is just an example. Still doing the plunging attack there. We can also add in a threshold to where if it is holding R1 here on Drew, we will make another branch. And then just for the example, let's just use this velocity. So this way, it'll only do it if it's above the fall break threshold velocity. You could make a new one and make it different. So now, if I hold R1 or left click while falling off, it's not doing the plunging attack. If I sprint and jump and hold one, it also shouldn't do it. Now, I don't have anything to get up here, so let's do play from here, then fall down and hold R1. The threshold might be too high. I think we set it to 2000. Let's try 1300. Here we go. And did the plunging attack. Now, if we go up there and we hold R1, it should break the fall by doing a rolling animation. So this way, let's say the player starts up here, and we'll make a different platform. And let's make it smaller. Let's try something like this before we can jump. So as you can see there, we roll off. But for this, we would actually need to set it lower, because else we wouldn't be able to do the plunging attack. Or we could lower this value real quick. Now if we start up here and then sprint and jump and try to make it on there and do a plunging attack, it shouldn't roll. And if we made it on there, we should have stayed up there. Let's just make it a little bit closer so we can try to make it. we go. As you can see, this can make a very funny and annoying game mechanic. And to tie this back into our other tutorial, let's do something like this. Might have to set this a little bit lower. If we fall off there, we die. Like that. And then if we make it on there, like that, and the plunging attack, we land without rolling. And then if we don't do a plunging attack, we'll just roll off to our death. And we didn't have the death barrier stretched out far enough. So that's why it didn't work there. But there we go. So that just about concludes our part 2 of this little series. I know that we didn't really add like a mid-air animation to our plunging attack. I'm not sure how to do that. I could try to figure out how to do it. If enough people want me to figure that out, I might show it in the next tutorial. But you get this part now at least, this little mechanic that's kind of used in Souls, where if you jump and land, you roll. If you just fall off somewhere, you don't roll. We added in a threshold to where it does roll if the character lands. If you don't want that, then just disconnect this here and delete this. And then now, if you fall off, it should not roll when you land and it's over the threshold. Since that's more Souls-like, and that was just an example, I'll just do that. Now if we fall off here, it should not roll. If we jump while sprinting, it should still roll. Nice. Anyways, part 3, I don't know yet what it will be. I have a few plans in mind, like life gems, since we have ways to damage ourselves. Let's try to make like a overtime healing effect, and while it's being like used, do an animation and reduce the movement speed, like in Dark Souls. That could be kind of a cool little tutorial that shouldn't be hard. But for that one, we would also need to add in like a pickup item and a widget for it. So there's like a sort of way to pick up the life gems, which might make it lengthy after all. Anyways, if you enjoyed the tutorial, please subscribe and like and leave a comment, and we'll see you next time. Bye.